All right, so we're getting back into it. I think I figured out the rain cover. I just put a concrete mixing tray on top of it, and it's the perfect size with a big old bungee cord running from the piston back to the parking brake. So it should be perfect. That sucker, I think I need to put like a towel or something onto it so it doesn't break the hanky repair that I have to that gas cap, but that should be it. Really all we need to do with this thing is, one, find out whatever problems still exist and fix those, and probably put tubes or valve stems in those things and make a brace for this, because when you turn this crank and you try and raise the deck up, it bends this plate outward like this, which is not good. So I need to find something that can clamp it like that on both sides and keep it from doing that. So probably just gonna run a bolt through it and then drop a nut down there, run the bolt through it, clamp it, and that should just hold it in place. Probably only need one of those, but we shall see. I think that's really it on my short list, but I'm sure something else horrible will break and we'll have to deal with that. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, just did my first real cut with it. Just went and cut around the whole front yard, the whatever that is, quarter acre out there, and cuts just fine. The brake locking up is pretty much gone. I can touch that. I just cut for about 30 minutes, I think, and no real issues. It's not any worse than it was before. However, the engine is getting hot because we got a lot of that going on, which I could see boiling out around the engine as soon as I parked it. So I think the air cooling ain't doing a whole lot of the air cooling thing. So we might need to come in here and pressure wash it at some point just to calm that down. But other than that, everything else is cutting just fine. No complaints otherwise. How are my blades holding up? Oh yeah, brand new blades. Still got a nice edge on them. Well, nice in quotes for a bush hog. So yeah, she's gonna keep just chugging grass the whole rest of her life until she ends up a burnout corpse like that thing over there. So I'll just give you a status report when something breaks, but so far so good. Well, that's some cut grass right there. She's still going just fine. The only trouble is she doesn't start. So this is my new second key. It's an anti-theft measure. Don't let anyone lie to you. So she's pretty weak. She's lost a lot of that top. I just swept this damn thing too. Anyway, she's lost a lot of top end power. That's absolutely for certain. But she cuts grass a hell of a lot faster than that thing cuts grass. Just really slow on turning. I mean, it's fine out in the big open areas. It's honestly better because it makes me take big wide turns. So I don't end up with these sharp angles and stuff like I do with the zero turn. Honestly, that's my preference. I prefer to just float around. Gives me a nice, good, upper arm pump too. I can feel it my whole upper body for the next week whenever I'm cutting grass in this thing. But she's doing all right for the time being, so that's all a man can ask for. Alrighty, I think I've cut enough grass with this thing at this point to warrant flushing the transmission again to get the last remaining water out of there. Although I haven't actually checked the dipstick, so I don't know how milky it is or whether or not it's been able to evaporate everything through the breather. So I've just cut grass with it for the last hour, so I've probably got maybe 10 hours worth of cutting on this thing since I did all the work to the engine and everything on it. So should be about right to get that transmission oil out of there again. And we're just going to put cheapy 20W50 in it again. And I guess I'll pick up another filter and do that. I mean, it's like a $10 filter. I mean, it's either a $2,000 transmission that can't be found or 30 bucks. So I'll go with the 30 bucks. Alrighty. Let's see how white and creamy that tranny fluid is. In my experience, most trannies are full of white creamy fluid. That actually looks good. A little dry, but doesn't look... It looks like it's a bit low, but I'm not really seeing any milkiness to it, so we might not actually have to do anything. The filter might have done its job, and the heat might have boiled all the water out. Well, I added a cup or so, and it's still pretty milky, so I think we are going to need to flush that. All right, so just had to replace the fuel filter again. So I put another one of these brand new ones on, because the last one that I put on there, I don't know how even long ago it was, 6 months or so, it has totally failed in multiple ways in like 6 months. I've only got like maybe 10-15 hours on this thing, but anywho, it cracked in the side of the housing, wherever that crack was. There it is. I don't know how well you can see that, but you know, total utter UV failure. And additionally, if you notice, the the filter delaminated from the housing, so it wasn't doing any filtering. So that's fantastic. Anyway, so I'm glad I bought a 10-pack of those. So maybe we'll be able to get through the next 2 years on just this mower using that same 10-pack. But anyway, I digress. Alrighty, so we need to cut some grass with this thing. So I think now is the time to do a trans fluid flush again. So I'm going to suck out as much as I can with the sucky boy, then drain out whatever's left that I can possibly get out of there. I seem to remember not being able to fit that thing under there, but we'll figure it out when we get there. And yeah, gonna pull the filter, put a new one on, and hopefully it's not full of giant metal pieces, but we'll find out. And additionally, I'm gonna pull these front wheels and put new valve stems in them because they're totally fucked. I think the rear valve stem is also messed up, but it may just need a new valve core, so I'll do that as well. Additionally, I just rebuilt the hydraulic cylinder, so now I know more about hydraulic cylinders. And I might pull this thing off and pull it apart and just see what the hell's in there. I don't recall whether or not I need this here. I guess I do. I guess I need something here, I think, that will like limit the maximum travel. So I could probably finagle something to put in here out of a piece of, you know, fence pipe and a, I don't know, rod with a bolt through the middle of it. Just make something little tube of metal that goes up here and pins through this, and then I have this thing here with a little slot running through the side of it. Then I've got some sort of rod with something in it that does some, I don't know, probably not gonna worry about it. I'm probably just gonna cut grass and then pull that off and see what the hell it looks like. See if I think it's probably just wipes, but it'd be nice to have this back, although if it ruins the transmission, then kind of defeats the whole purpose of doing that. So I'll probably just fix it just for the sake of fixing it. But first, one more distraction. The seat was starting to disintegrate, so we have given it the classic Gorilla Tape bondage treatment that has worked so well on the Gator. So that should work fantastic, because $100-something for a fucking seat is highway robbery, and 30-yard roll of Gorilla Tape is 20 bucks. So from my standpoint, this is mint. All right, well, it turns out 60-something degree 20W50 is pretty thick, because I've been extracting this for like 10 minutes, and we've got not even a quart out of there. So that's going to take forever. So let me get this damn drain bolt out. Alrighty, well, that's all doing its thing. I think I'm going to work on these front wheels because both of their valve stems are just obliterated. And I gotta do something about that. And I'm hoping it's just the valve stems. And I'm also hoping I can get the wheels far enough to get the valve stems out and a new one in without compromising the bead and never being able to get the thing back together. Additionally, I think the core on this valve stem is starting to corrode because it was sticking open yesterday. So I might pull that, clean it, and or replace it. We'll see. Alrighty, that appears to be pretty much done draining. And 2 new valve stems, and the tires are all aired back up. Throw them things on there. That took a lot more effort than it should have, but wasn't too terrible. So let's start putting parts back on. I'll pre-fill a filter, spin that sucker back on there, and top this transmission off, and hopefully we're off to the races. Alrighty, after I spilled a whole bunch of 20W50 everywhere, which is incredibly hard to clean up off of cold concrete, by the way, we have finished her off with some 10W40. So we have a nice hydraulic witch's brew. Hydraulic systems love that. And yeah, she's right full with a dry filter, so that'll be perfect. Just gonna tighten that up, let that percolate for a little bit while I clean up, then it'll be time to send it. And again, I have absolutely no idea what the transaxles oil viscosity is supposed to be, because it's a like very specific spec of oil that I can't find anywhere, and I can't find any details on it. So we kind of have to like reverse engineer it back into whatever it's supposed to be. So anyway, I'm just putting 20W50 in it and 10W40, and that'll probably put us somewhere between, I don't know, 17W46 or and a half or something. I don't know. Doesn't make a difference. It's a ruined transaxle with lots of metal shaving off everywhere. It'll eat it. It'll be fine. And if it isn't, it'll go to the scrapyard. All right, we got some bad gas in here, so she's not as umphy as she should be. Right on cue, although I really would have preferred if it didn't. Come on, bud. Anyway, bad gas, so probably should top that off. I don't care. I'm gonna cut some grass. So the decal act is the flywheel, and keep stalling out as often, but we're just gonna warm it up and see whether it does any better after a while. Right, there she is. She cut grass pretty good, apart from the bad gas. Kept stalling the blades out when I was cutting high grass, which is unacceptable because that's the grass I'm actually trying to cut. I don't know if I've got something jammed up under here, or the spindles are just, oh yeah, it's probably something to do with the spindles. Looking like that. Yeah, no, usually spindles don't like that. Blades are still in decent shape. Oh, there she is. All the blades are still there, so probably just too much moss on the spindles, binding the thing up. Probably need to grease the spindles. Actually, I can't remember if these are greasable or not. If I can, grease the spindles and pull that moss off of there, maybe sharpen the blades a bit. And I'm gonna give her 2 gallons of fresh ethanol filled gas, just as a treat for working half decently. Well, she's doing it again. Oh, came out of the dipstick that time. Wasn't even the breather. I think she might be a little hot. No, did it even come out of the dipstick? Well, that was the issue that got it parked in the first place. The same place last time too, right here. I guess it wasn't the dipstick or dipstick hole. Where the hell did it come from? Well, wherever it was right next to the exhaust. All right, so I tried running it again just so I could get it back to the fucking shop, and it looks like front main. It was just throwing oil straight up. So that ain't good. Hopefully we didn't flip a seal. Additionally, I can't get the thing to move on account of the fact that, well, front main has coated both of the fucking drive belts in oil. So now it can't spin the hydrostat fast enough to move the fucking thing. So that's a problem. I wonder if this fucking thing is locked up again. No? No, the hub's nice and dry, so. Yeah, both of them, so shit. Well, that might be the end of her. Alright, so I got some water and gunk so I can degrease the pulleys and then wash off most of the oil and cool the engine down so I can get this thing moved. And of course, the one day I decided to cut grass in the last 8 months is also the day that the other mower is down. So that's on charge. Pretty certain the battery's kaput. It's a 5-year-old battery that has not gotten a whole lot of use, but I can cope just a little bit longer. I guess I do have that mower, but that mower sucks ass, and I'm not cutting grass with it. People wonder why I drink. All right, well, I dumped 2 gallons of water on there after I degreased everything, and it still wasn't enough to get the transaxle spinning, and it's still puking oil everywhere. So I'm pretty certain the front main flipped. which means a full engine pull to be able to do anything about that. Maybe I can do that without pulling the engine. I might just be able to disassemble all this shit on the front, get this cover out of here, pull the whole pulley assembly off, and maybe, but not looking good. Look at that fucking loon. Look at that guy. Anyway, I don't know what to do. One time I try and be productive. I get 50% of the way through cutting the grass and then both mowers are dead. Alrighty, let's get you back to a slightly more fitting grave. Well, through the brute force of two broken old men, me and my dad managed to get her on the slab. Also, I noticed that's probably something noteworthy, but it's got bigger issues at the moment. I'm about 80% certain that the front main seal flipped. The breather must have gotten, clogged, and that caused, positive crankcase pressure to build up. And so that positive pressure pushed a slug of oil into the front main seal, and it's got a V seal like this that keeps the oil in, and it went like that, pretty certain. Because there's no way you can have that much oil coming out of a fucking crankshaft like that unless the seal is no longer sealing. All right, so went inside last night, thought on it some, did a little bit of research, and all hope may not be lost as far as getting my grass cut this weekend, because it looks like this battery might be fine. Yep. Okay, good. So that battery just needed to be charged, so I can actually cut my grass. But additionally, I might actually be able to save the Yazoo without having to pull the engine. So you see this little donut right there? That's the seal. And the seal has come out, which means the seal can be pushed back in. Now, that doesn't mean the seal is going to stay back in, but the seal can be pushed back in. All I have to do is get a little piece of PVC or some sort of circular something I can put around that shaft that I can press on, and I can just jam a crowbar, big screwdriver in there, and just push that seal back in there, and we might be back in business. But additionally, that seal can be pulled out because the sucker's got a lip like as thick as my finger, and apparently you can just drive a deck screw in it and then just take like a automotive dent puller, which I have one, and just pull the thing right out. So that just means all I have to do is get this contraption off the front and pop some belts off of the harmonic balancer, and I can pull the pulley off the front and then just pop the seal out, pop a new one in, and we can do that. That's pretty easy. A $20-$30 seal and what's that, a handful of bolts and a pulley that will probably never come off. That's doable. I'm gonna poke around real quick and see if I can push that seal back in a little bit and just see how bad it is. But it looks like that must have vibrated itself out, or of course if the breather is messed up and it built up positive crankcase pressure, it probably just blew the whole seal right out the front when I got screaming hot and I went uphill or something and it changed, splashed some oil someplace, blocked the breather for a second, and popped the seal out. So, but she is hemorrhaging oil at the minute, so I also want to check the dipstick and just see how oily she is. All right, well, first things first, ain't got no oil in it, so we have to add some oil. And let me see, I have to take this sucker off, get it out the way. Oh, and it's halfway broken off anyway, so that's interesting. Man, look at them clouds. Anyway, this jug of 5W30s had a leak in it. I've been looking for an excuse to get rid of it, so I'm just going to pour half of it in here just so I don't forget about it and run this thing dry, even though I've done that several times already. But what's a little bit more oil to the pile? Lol, Lamau even. Oh, so, grenading will do that to a muffler on occasion. All right, so I ended up adding that whole quart of oil, and I also got that thing off, and 2 of these suckers are broken, so that's good to know, I guess. I'm gonna try not to break the rest of these off. If not, it's just gonna get hose clamped or something. But anywho, there is the prize. That is what we're after. So all we gotta do is get that little donut to go in 1/4 of an inch, and we should have our seal back. at least temporarily, and then in order to do it permanently, I have to get this plastic guy off, which appears to be held on with 1, 2, 3 bolts, and that gives me full access to the front of the harmonic balancer. And then it's just a matter of, I don't even know if I have to get the belts off, but I'll have to get the crank bolt out and then pull that pulley off, and then we might be in business. And I would love to replace all of these belts on here if I had the ability. Actually, the transmission belt's probably fine, but I do want to replace those mouse-eaten belts at some point, if possible. I think I'm just going to get a big screwdriver or a crowbar and just press on that ever so gently on either side and see if I can get it to walk back in. And if I break it, it's already fucking broken. Well, by some miracle, that worked, which is nothing but miraculous. I'm sure that seal is probably shreked, although it could have been spinning on the shaft, so it might be fine. But yeah. Huh. Well, I guess I'll put that back on for good luck. And actually, no, we'll leave that off, and let's just fire this thing up. See if it blows that son of a bitch immediately back out. All right. Contact. The seal is staying in fairly well, and the magic dust only helped a little bit with the blade engagement. Oh Lord, listen to them honkies. That's how I know it's Thanksgiving, when the honkies show up and start making a ruckus. Anyway, I'm hoping I can adjust the deck control. Oh, yep, good. So I think I need to shorten up the deck arm lever. I don't think I'm getting full engagement with the, well, the rat-consumed belts. So I was having that issue yesterday before all this happened, so the additional oil is probably not making that any better. So I don't know which one of these does that. I think this arm might have something to do with that. That definitely does the deck brake, but I don't need the deck brake to brake anymore. I just need, I guess it's this guy. I just need a little bit more length out of that fella right there. I wonder if I can just pull that cotter pin and give this a couple more turns and be off to the races. Okie dokie, that was fairly straightforward to adjust. So now with the blades engaged, we have much better tension. Additionally, I adjusted the transmission belt just a skosh. It's not, I only gave it about 4 turns. It's, you know, it's a spring, so it's got a static tension. I just didn't like how loose it was. Probably not gonna make a difference. Might explode the transmission, we'll see. But now, with the blades all the way down, we have plenty of slack, as you can see, but with them all the way up, you know, it's about halfway up, we have full engagement, and then we have the rest of that to add tension. So, hopefully, that'll get the blades working again. And let's fire this thing back up, get it back out there, and finish cutting my grass finally. All right, how about that? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. hot. Well, she definitely has a shit ton of blow-by now, which I think it's probably just fucking chugging down oil right now would be my guess, which is why it's running terribly. But has not pushed the front main back out, so that's a good sign. But as previously stated, I'm pretty certain that the breather has disappeared out of this thing. So it's supposed to have material in it that allows it to breathe. But if that material in the baffle goes, then it just kind of pukes oil into the engine. If it pukes oil into the engine, then, well, the engine doesn't run very well. And additionally, it plugs the breather. And then it's got to try and find other ways to get out of the engine, generally involving puking oil. Not really, well, there's smoke coming out of it, so it's definitely eating oil. And now, battery's actually really dead this time. All right, it's another week later, and I have asymmetrical ignition. Ooh-wee. Anyway, it's about a week or two later, I don't remember which, but I just went out and cut a little bit more of the field, and she started to bog down and die again. And as I was pulling her up, it was dark enough that I saw that this cylinder over here was glowing red, and this cylinder was not. So I think we're down a little bit on this cylinder for whatever reason. So we might just need to do a compression test and see whether or not we've lost some compression on this side. Nothing really sets the Christmas spirit quite like a little bit of prescribed fire. Go toasty. Gotta love wiregrass. Much easier than mowing. So, I don't know what the issue was like last month when she kept trying to die on me twice, but I just spent the last half hour, 40 minutes cutting the last half of this, mulched all the saplings underneath the tree. I mulched 3 pine trees, like trees. Like that's a 2.5 inch stump, and mulched another one over here, and another one over here, and stump still here. I mean, we're not talking about something small. She just ate through it like a bush hog. Still got full power. I could still run it all the way up, stop it, back it up, do everything. Not an issue. The blow-by is really awful. But it must have just been bad gas, because I think all I've done is put more gas in it since then, and now she's back to running at full power. But, you know, that's a pretty bad blow-by in my book. So, yeah. Like a steam engine now, but I'm not going to look a gift mower in the mouth. The belt ain't looking so hot. Well, I think I'm going to end this episode here. So, I think we're pretty much equivalent to where we were when we started. So, transmission is flushed, but the engine is now lunched. Something. Anyway, it seems to be working for the time being. I'm just going to pretend that it's fine. Didn't really get to any of the other small things that I wanted to do, but, you know, trans is flushed. I now have some experience with hydraulic cylinders, so I might pop that thing off and rebuild it in the near future. As soon as I'm confident there's no longer water getting into the trans. Should probably get in there and adjust the valves after it running, you know, without a front main seal there for a couple of seconds. But blow-by is pretty awful, so I need to hone the cylinders but all the valve cover bolts are stuck, and I broke things off the pumpkins the last time I tried to do that, so I can't even get in there to adjust the valves, let alone hone the cylinders. So, yeah, I think this is just going to be the state that she's in. I mean, next thing I can do really is probably get in there and place some belts. This is going to be the most immediate next thing, and this tire is, well, it's holding a little bit of wind. This one's perfect now, but this one needs some bead sealer, aka 40 pounds of slime. We're going to call it quits for the time being and do that in the next episode. So if you want to see the eventual slow and immediate decline and dissolving of this lawnmower as it returns to the earth, you got to go down there, like the video, comment, tell me what else you want to see get fixed on this, or if you happen to have your own Yazoo and there's something horribly wrong with it and you need me to spec something out, let me know. I don't read them anyway, so I'm giving you false hope. I apologize. And if you want to see this thing eventually die and get sent to the scrapyard, you got to subscribe, so smash the gray button down there. Until next time, I'm out.